From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Andrea Nakano.
And I'm Brian Hackney. We begin tonight in the small town of Benicia, preparing for a future without its biggest employer, the Valero Refining Company.
And while everyone admits a refinery closure would have a tremendous economic impact on Benicia, neighbors are split on the crude realities of it being done. Dahlin reports.
For a lot of the refinery communities like Benicia, Richmond, and Martinez, there's this love-hate relationship with their local refinery. They love the economic benefits, but hate the pollution problems. As Valero plans to shut down next April, Benicia officials are working to soften the economic blow. Not only is it the city's biggest employer, the Valero refinery also pays the most in taxes to the city of Benicia.
Valero represents, in direct contributions to our economy, are between $10 and $12 million a year.
Benicia Mayor Steve Young says that's about 20% of the city's annual budget, roughly $60 million. If Valero leaves next year, that $10 to $20 million tax hit could grow, as other businesses that depend on the refinery may also be forced to close.
There will be impacts to restaurants and hotels.
As the city braces for possible cuts to programs and staff, the mayor is looking for ways to replace that tax revenue.
What I'm trying to do is buy some time. If we can delay this closure for 3 years and give ourselves a chance to start talking about what comes next and what type of development would be best to try to replace what's happening here and continue to operate and give us some revenue in the meantime, that would be the best of all worlds. But it's sort of out of our hands.
Artist Marilyn Bardet spent years working as a watchdog, making sure Valero followed the strict environmental guidelines and protected the community's health. She says in the long run, the closure would benefit Benicia.
Our community will be healthier. Our children will not have as much asthma. The cancer rates may, over a generation, begin to, decrease to be more like what the whole state's cancer rate is. What we're talking about is community health and safety.
Mayor Young says he's talking to state officials and Valero to see if there's any way to delay the closure, but he's also preparing for the worst.
We're a vibrant and resilient community, and we are going to get through this. We're not going to be declaring bankruptcy or doing anything like that.
Aside from Valero, a major refinery in LA is also planning to shut down. Oil experts say the closures would drive up gas prices. Gavin Newsom and the state's Energy Commission are working with the oil industry to see if they can find some kind of compromise.
And in other news, 2 separate United flights leaving SFO were forced to divert from their original flight path this weekend. A flight to Sydney, Australia, was forced to stop in Honolulu before it was eventually canceled. On Saturday, a flight bound for Beijing was forced to turn back to SFO just hours later. A word on whether the 2 diversions were connected this weekend, but comes just 2 days after 2 planes nearly collided at SFO earlier this month. When one turned the right, wouldn't have been earlier this month, it would have been earlier in May. During the wrong way during takeoff, the FAA is investigating that near collision. And a person is dead after being hit by a car in Santa Rosa. Officers say the crash happened late last night on Piner Road, with the cause still under investigation. And a warning for drivers in Santa Cruz as sinkhole has shut down the left southbound line of State Route 1. CHP Santa Cruz officers say it's near the Buena Vista Drive exit. Andrea?
In San Jose, a grass fire started near the airport. The fire only burned about 5 acres before crews were able to get the upper hand. Crews are on high alert around the Bay Area as warm weather continues to dry out vegetation. Up in Santa Rosa, preparation already beginning for the start of fire season, which officially starts tomorrow. Max Darrow reports.
On the eve of the official start to fire season in Santa Rosa,
Go as low as you can.
community members came together for a refresher on how to be prepared for a moment they hope never comes. That included William Kessler, who lives in Windsor, who's had to evacuate before.
In 2019, everyone had to, the whole town had to evacuate, so.
Santa Rosa residents are all too familiar with devastating wildfires. The Tubbs fire in 2017 and the Glass fire in 2020 are permanently etched into memory for many people here.
We need to be ready.
Fire season in California has become a year-round phenomenon. But in Santa Rosa, Fire Marshal Paul Lowenthal says they do declare an official start and end to fire season, as it is directly tied to local ordinances in place.
Primarily our weed abatement ordinance, which does go into effect at the start of our locally declared season. And then we have other ordinances that are tied to start and stop, like pile burning, as well as our vegetation management ordinance that's as a result of our 2017 and 2020 wildfires here locally in the city.
Lowenthal says Santa Rosa's wildland-urban interface saw a lot of grass and vegetation growth at the beginning of the year that has since dried out, creating an abundance of fuel.
And now you look at our hillsides and they're real golden brown now, and that's the concern.
He says the community and fire department together can take steps to keep fires that do break out small and manageable.
Our hope is that the work that we do to train is going to be complemented by a lot of the vegetation management practices, weed abatement, defensible space, home hardening that we're hopeful that our community takes into account and does.
Kessler didn't go home empty-handed. He left with a new go bag.
And then getting a backpack has been nice, so we have an extra bag to have ready to go.
A little bit of prep that could go a long way when disaster strikes.
Well, it's the final day of the Bay Area Book Festival in Berkeley. The theme of this year is one of challenging censorship.
By limiting stories, we limit connection and identification and healing. And why? People are intelligent enough to decide what to believe and what not to.
Book bans across the country apparently on the rise. PEN America estimating there have been about 16,000 of them in the last 4 years. It's also the beginning of Pride Month. Cities across the Bay Area today celebrating the LGBTQ plus community, with both Richmond and Santa Cruz holding parades today.
In Berkeley, the police and fire departments are showing their support with rainbow flags inside their building. And coming up, it's the opening weekend for the new Smart Rail service up to Windsor. The impact on the North Bay commute next.
And we're going to take a look at a forecast that was dramatically different today. No doubt you noticed the cool down. Show you what that means for the rest of this week coming up. We'll go over the dramatic change we saw today after the break.
This weekend marks the long-awaited arrival of the Smart Commuter train to the town of Windsor. The original purpose was to transport people to work, but people in the North Bay are also looking at it as a way to play. John Ramos has the story.
Windsor has been waiting for years for Smart to arrive, and now that the train is finally pulling into the station, there are high hopes of what it will mean for the small communities up and down the North Bay. It's been 8 years since the Smart train began operation, so when it finally arrived in Windsor, Maria Ledesma had to get over her skepticism.
I know, I never thought it was actually going to happen, but now that it happened, I was like, okay, let's go.
She and her sister Maricela brought their entire families out to enjoy a day riding the rails.
I'm just excited to ride it. It's my first time, so we'll see how it goes.
What are you planning to do today?
We're going to go to Larkspur and then just hang out, eat over there, and then just see what else comes up.
It's just like, it's an easier way to move without having to deal with the traffic and everything, and have someone else do the driving, and also have the kids get a chance to ride the train, which they're super excited. So
it's the first time they've ever been on a train?
It's their first time, so they're really excited over that.
The excitement is a bit ironic, considering that the previous end of the line was only 5 minutes away at the airport station in Santa Rosa. But nothing beats having a station of your own to call home.
Absolutely, because we're here in our hometown. We just drove down the street and get to ride from our own place in Windsor.
And that makes a big difference.
Huge difference. It's our hometown.
Smart was envisioned as a commuter transit line, but then the pandemic hit and work patterns changed, and the rail line has been struggling to find a niche. Now, the further north you get from San Francisco, it's viewed as a way to connect the small cities, and that means it can be good for business.
I was shocked when I got to work this morning how many cars were down here, and it's popping down here.
Marie Esposti Winter owns the Hush Up clothing boutique right next to the train station. She survived a global pandemic, 2 wildfires, and now President Trump's trade war tariffs. So while she's optimistic about Smart, she's also a realist about what its impact might be.
We have tons of cute little boutiques, restaurants, Realistically, I don't know how many Marin people are going to come up here and shop. Although I've taken the train down to Petaluma and shop down there. So the hope is that everybody down south will come up north and enjoy the train and come check out Windsor.
SMART used to end at a nondescript train yard, but now ending at Windsor gives the rail line an actual destination. The town green is a popular picnic area, and the shops, restaurants, and wine tasting rooms are giving people a reason to get on the train.
Becoming much more of a place that where people are coming, especially from out of town. It will bring people down here and help boost the local economy, which is nice. Pretty vibrant, but I mean, everything helps, right? We're all based on tourism here, so that's all very helpful.
And Devin Hoops is exactly the kind of rider they're hoping for. The Santa Rosa resident has been using the train as a fun way to explore the small cities surrounding his hometown.
I haven't made it down to Novato yet, like to really explore that from the train. But that's on the list. I'm like getting there.
The towns have always been here, easily accessible by automobile. But somehow the experience of riding the train is causing people to venture out, and in the process, connecting them with their neighbors up and down the line.
Well, if you were outside at all today, you noticed the change. It was a dramatic difference from yesterday. Some of us 20 or 25 degrees cooler than just 24 hours ago. So let's get you situated with that first, and then I'll show you what's coming next. First, take a look at the Tri-Valley today. 20 degrees cooler in Livermore. I'm going to put the actual daytime highs on here in a second, but it's the change that really needs to get pointed out. Look at that 15 degrees cooler in San Jose. Take a look at San Francisco taking quite the drop, and we can include our North Bay communities as well. There's Santa Rosa with about another 15-degree temperature drop up there. What's that mean for daytime highs? And this is kind of important because, at least in terms of the forecast for the rest of the week, today's daytime highs are now going to be the daytime highs for pretty much the remainder of the 7-day forecast. We're not really going to change this much. Numbers are going to pretty much be sitting right where they were. In fact, let's get everybody else on here and we'll take a look at where you'll land for tomorrow's daytime highs. And now you can pick out your part of the bay. I'll get out of the way so we can zoom around there and get some close-up views on some of the different microclimates. We'll be in the low to mid 70s in the North Bay. These are your Monday numbers, but they're almost identical to where you were on Sunday. Skip that down the peninsula, and now let's get down the East Bay Shore and quickly check out the numbers there for Santa Clara Valley. There's San Jose. You'll be going to the low 80s. What changed? Well, the number one thing that changed, we can already see showing up when we take a look at the satellite imagery from today. So let's get that view. This is the updating live satellite imagery. That's the marine layer out there. Kind of see it just sitting out there along the San Mateo County coastline. We did have a lot of it streaming through the Golden Gate pretty much all day, and it's just melted back a bit. We're kind of at the warmest time of day right now, so the marine layer is going to melt back the most that it would. But let me show you what it's going to do overnight tonight and how it's going to start building back in again for tomorrow. Watch the progression. This is getting us from like 5 o'clock until about 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And you can see we're going to wake up to a classic June gloom situation. Marine layer is back, and it means business. It's making up for lost time over the last few days. So you'll wake up once again, and everybody will have gray skies. Look how it conforms beautifully here through the valleys in Sonoma County. It's streaming in through the Petaluma Gap tomorrow. So Santa Rosa, Petaluma, Rohnert Park, gray skies for you. There's wine country, and of course right through here through the bulk of the bay, and even getting down into the Santa Clara Valley. Just like today, it'll melt back in the afternoon, so you'll get sunshine. It'll look and feel pretty much just like today did. And since I mentioned that's likely how things are going to keep going for us over the remainder of the 7-day forecast, let's get into the 7-day forecast, and I'll show you how that plays out. We'll start out with our inland microclimate, and there's that theme. The only thing that would show up here would be a few high clouds. If you were with me yesterday, we were looking at the forecast. We were talking about the possibility we might get an interesting cloud show as we get into Monday and Tuesday from this weak area of low pressure that had been spawning thunderstorms over central California and the Sierra yesterday. Doesn't look like we're really going to notice that at this point. So it's just going to be sunshine, marine layer mornings, and temperatures holding the line. The day you just had, you're about to do 7 more of them.
And a big game for the Valkyries tonight with the Minnesota Lynx in town at Chase Center. Tip-off is just moments away at 5:30. And for many fans in the Bay Area, tonight will be their first ever WNBA experience. Kelsey Thor talked to 2 young fans happy to have women's basketball represented in the Bay Area.
Among the 18,000 plus fans packed into Chase Center for the Valkyries home games are countless young girls seeing for the first time in person where this sport can take them.
I've been waiting for a WNBA team in the Bay for a long time.
Gabriella Gibson, Chloe and Stella Franco, and Eliana Ziegler are all players for the Lady Legends, an AAU basketball program based in Concord.
I've always wanted to play basketball, but I never thought that I would be good at it, but I am good at it.
The girls, like so many their age, are obsessed with basketball. They watch all the games they can at all levels, both men's and women's. But they say there's something about seeing professional women out on the court that feels just that much more special.
I grew up watching the Warriors play Oracle Arena, and I think it's really cool that there's girls this could be us or one of our friends out here on the court playing for our home team. I just think this way.
We caught up with the girls at their first ever Valkyries game. It's a moment Stella Franco told us she'll never forget.
This is very empowering for young girls like us, because then we, like basketball players, we get to look up and look at these girls and then dream about being in the WNBA or being on the Valkyries.
These girls are among the first generation of girls in the Bay who will be able to say they grew up watching their hometown WNBA team. It's something they know they're fortunate to have.
I don't know, it's very exciting because even though we're still young, we still get this opportunity to come here. Not a lot of people got that at all.
The girls are also lucky because their Lady Legends share similar colors to the Valkyries. They were all repping their team at this game and told me they cannot wait to do so at so many more Valkyries games, both this season and for years to come.
Hey, let's go, Lady Legends! Woo!
And coming up, what does it take to be a cutting-edge professional? Some high schoolers in Oakland are finding out, and we'll have their story coming up.
It motivates me to continue every day, like I have a purpose in living.
And welcome back. Need a haircut? Well, finally tonight in Oakland, Suji Nam shows us some students that are a cut above the rest.
Every great barber knows that a clean set of tools makes for a clean haircut. And that is what Danny Pablo, a senior at Castlemont High School in Oakland, learned on day one.
Tannic strips on him so it doesn't get itchy on his neck.
And now, on his final day of the barber entrepreneur class, you can say he's a talented barber in training.
Another way to express art by cutting hair.
It all began when Pablo was curious about what life would be like as a barber. And when he found out his school offers a free after-school class on barbering and entrepreneurship, he signed up.
Papers, and then also when I do designs.
He practices by cutting his friend's hair on the weekend, and in class, he has the opportunity to cut real hair, not just on a mannequin.
Vertical sides as well? Yes, please.
This is one of his teachers, an instructor at the Paul Mitchell Barber School in the East Bay. Pablo gets real-life experience, like several other of his classmates who learn how to master different hairstyles. Frank West founded the Barber Entrepreneur Program 3 years ago.
My background is really about, doing things positive in the community, and at Castlemont it's kind of important too because it's like my neighborhood.
He works with 7 professional barbers who dedicate their time to students after school. About 40 students meet twice a week to learn not only how to style hair, but also how to start and run a business.
My hope is that people like Danny are going to come back to the school and then reproduce what I did and stuff, be able to get back. As a teacher, you always like to see that light bulb go off and stuff, so you see a lot of the kids come in here and it's, a wonderful thing.
And the light bulb did go off for Pablo.
It motivates me to continue every day, like I have a purpose in living. I see myself as a barber when I graduate high school. I'm thinking of getting my license and hopefully open a barbershop of my own.
You never know. You may be looking to get a haircut, and you just might see Pablo on the other side.
Doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, it's a great program for the kids to get some experience in. And
I think I could go there myself, except I didn't see the critical element you need to cut my hair in that story.
Scissors?
A bowl, just a bowl. Common complaint I get about my hair.
Yeah? It looks like a bowl? I think it looks very...
I have a picture of myself on my computer when I was 10.
Yeah?
Hasn't changed.
Really?
Same haircut.
Oh,
Might
looks
even be the
lovely.
same barber. That's it for us at 5. We'll see you back here at 6 for another hour of news. For now,
Good night.